Staying true to your values and beliefs is always a good idea. Stoicism teaches us that we control our emotions and reactions, but it doesn't mean that we should never feel emotions or react to situations. It just means that we should be aware of those reactions and not let them overwhelm us. Stoicism is an ancient philosophy that teaches us to be disciplined, patient, and tolerant. But what does it look like in practice? This video is about 3 ways to practice Stoicism in your everyday life. First, accept things you cannot change. As Epictetus has told us on acceptance, men are disturbed not by things, but the view which they take of them. In other words, if you're upset about something, you don't have to try to force yourself not to be upset. You can just be aware that you're upset and how that makes you feel. It's much easier to deal with something when you know what it is and why it's happening than when it just feels like a wave of emotion washing over you. Most of us will suffer extreme loss and pain at some time in our lives. We must not oppress ourselves in these trying times. We should not try to cease feeling our emotional pain. Instead, we should appeal to the fact that time passes. Change is experienced via emotions. As a result, we may always be certain that our pains will pass. Grief, rage, and anguish might feel overpowering and heavy, yet we can choose to recognize how time will diminish our sorrows. Stoicism is a philosophy that teaches you to be calm, even in the face of hardship. It's a way to focus on the things you can control, rather than worrying about what you can't. Second, focus on the things you can change. Marcus Aurelius clarifies further, writing on the things you can change. Life, in a word, is short, then snatch your profit from the passing hour, by obedience to reason and just dealing. Stoicism teaches us that there are things that are unchangeable, such as death, and other things we can change if we work hard enough at them. It teaches us how to accept those things we cannot change as well as those we can change by working hard at them day after day until they become part of our lives forever. Understanding when to withdraw and when to accept our feelings is an example of emotional endurance. It is the idea that we are running a marathon rather than a sprint. Developing an emotional perspective on what actually deserves our attention, as well as developing a high level of self-awareness. Instead of taking rash, unthinking action, we commit to ourselves and live by the adage life is brief. Taking responsibility for yourself. You need not blame others for what happens to you. No one makes anyone else feel certain ways or do certain things. You have the power of choice within yourself, so choose happiness. Third, do not give in to negative emotions. When writing a letter to his mother on the subject of grief, Seneca said, "So I was waiting until your grief of itself should lose its force, and being softened by time to endure remedies, it would allow itself to be touched and handled." It's important to understand that Stoicism isn't about being emotionless. It's about having control over your emotions and not letting them control you. When you're practicing Stoicism, you focus on what you can do for yourself instead of worrying about things out of your control or looking for approval from others. You accept what happens and work on improving yourself in whatever way possible, reflecting on your feelings and then letting them go. When you're angry or upset about something, stop and consider your feelings, what they are and why they exist. Then let them go. It's okay to feel whatever emotion comes up for you at any moment. But it's also okay to let it go so that you don't let those emotions keep you from doing what needs done. Life is challenging, but if we grasp what actually matters, how to use our time wisely, we will patiently and charitably endure everything. Our power comes from accepting what is vital. It is not an issue of how we should proceed, but of why we should proceed. A Stoic attitude allows us to control our emotional responses. Yes, gaining this kind of perspective is challenging and something that most individuals need to acquire. This self-awareness and assurance, on the other hand, offers people the strength to persevere and become emotionally robust. Many things will go wrong in life, sometimes dramatically unexpectedly. The Stoic mindset teaches us to let go of the trivial and prioritize the significant. In order to become more stoic in your daily life, you should practice being self-sufficient by learning how to get what you need from within yourself instead of relying on external circumstances or other people for happiness.